Welcome back, John. Hi, buddy.
Can you hear me fine?
Got you now, John.
Wonderful. Hey, that was a great topic you two were going on. I'm sure you saw my comments, but it was a fabulous topic you
Oh,
two were
thanks.
discussing.
Only 20 people left while we were talking about it.
Well, you know what, though?
Because it's
Before I
not
say
about
anything, if I
making
may,
money now. Huh?
if I can interject on that one, because I travel the world. I travel the world, and let me and we've both been through the trading miles through these many decades. If there is one country in the world that I will bet on, and I will bet on matching any of the challenges that will come of the financial future, it's the United States. Like
Okay.
there is no country that I would say I'm all in, I'm pushing all my chips in, like the way the American community will respond. And I know it's going to be difficult at times, right?
Okay.
But trust me, you
Well,
know how to
that's
get off.
optimistic. I hope you're right.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be watching you on TV.
and honestly, Dale, that's part of the reasons why. And first of all, I'll say it afterwards. But part of the reason why I love doing this show and helping people out, because what you do is a service to not simply the financial community, but the growing investment community that is going to continue to expand for the next 30 years as many move to retirement years, and they need to be able to manage their funds in tumultuous environments. And what you're doing is, and your entire crew at Forex Analytics is absolutely tremendous. But I think it goes beyond let's say, the advanced progressive investor, futures investor, but
Okay.
all those managing their funds.
Okay. All right. Well, you talked to me a little bit on Twitter, John, that I was a little bit taken aback. But, you go where you see opportunities.
Yes.
And you're talking about these new derivative contracts on crypto, particularly Bitcoin, that you're going to be, you have a foray going into them and
Yeah, well,
kind of doing the same thing you're doing with equity options.
absolutely. Well, the exciting thing about this is if you're
And by the
considering,
way, John,
if you're
do you want,
considering,
by the way, John, do you have a screen to share or you want me to use mine?
no, I was actually going to give you the BTC on CME.
Okay, well, I'll pull up Bitcoin.
Yeah. See, the thing is, this is you have to go back in time a little bit. So this is when you look at what's happening of recently in the last 2 weeks that has been announced by BACT and the CME Group is the coming launch of Bitcoin options. Now, I know for many people there'll be varied opinions on cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, right? And I recognize that. Some don't believe it's a store of wealth, and some believe it is the absolute panacea. I respect that. But what you have to understand for an investor, the launching of Bitcoin options by both of these groups is opportunity. Opportunity of maybe a lifetime. And for that, Dale and I, we have to go back to our youth in the late winter, early spring of 1983, when the Merc first offered crude future contracts.
Okay.
So it was a brand new opportunity. Now, what's going to happen with Bitcoin, with these Bitcoin options, is suddenly the world of cryptocurrency investors, and it is going to consolidate towards Bitcoin and certainly Ethereum to a degree, but it is going to be immediately the ability to hedge, and for that matter, also.
Let me ask you this, John, because what you're talking about right now reminds me of an interview I did, I don't know, maybe a week or so ago, where my guest said the reason, and he was a very sharp technician, that he likes focusing on Bitcoin. He used the term because of its reflexivity. It's very reflexive. As you can see by this 4-hour chart, 72.50 to 10.5 and 3-4 candles, 20-30% moves. I call that reflexive.
The volatility is tremendous. Now, for anyone who knows my trading style, which is very long game, I look for the money between the lines. particularly in this internet era, one of the things that we know in this market, this era, whether or not we're talking futures, equities, or certainly cryptocurrencies, it seems to be that this era has a variety of characteristics, and I suspect it's going to last. This is going to be a generational thing. It overreacts. It constantly overreacts. It tends to be greedy. It doesn't, and it rarely hedges. So what that means are, and if you use options, and obviously it can be anywhere from the most conservative of covered calls, which I hope our people holding dividend positions really give thought to, particularly those of retirement years, to obviously more aggressive, say, for instance, a bull calendar spread or straddle positions. All of a sudden, we have a trading window and a window of opportunity that will be wide open. Now, for someone like, for instance, let's say someone who was the long-term believer in Bitcoin or for, whatever it might be, this, did they say reflexivity?
Yeah.
Is that reflexivity? This volatility is going to give us one heck of an option premium, right? So that the ability to maintain your position and hedge your position will be, to whatever degree that you so choose, will be extremely easy relative to do. The contract size are very modest. One with the back, one contract, one Bitcoin back, and 5 with the CMA groups, right? So they're going to be very
5
easy.
Bitcoins on
5
the contract?
Bitcoin on CME, 1 on back.
Okay.
And they're going to be very easy to manage.
Like they have a mini going too.
Yeah. Well, as this rolls out, as they roll out, these are going to be very easy to address. But how many times do we get a situation where we can be involved in such a highly volatile climate as Bitcoin, and yet be able to hedge, and for that matter, how I like to trade between the lines, you're constantly looking to scalp the premium, scalp the decay of option premium on a regular basis, weekly or monthly. Now, this is where I keep going into this.
Let me ask you this, Joe John.
Certainly.
If you brought up crude in '83,
Certainly,
and it's a different era now. How long do you think it'll take for volume, tight spreads, liquidity to develop in these instruments?
Well,
open interest
to
make them
being
viable?
very honestly, I'm taking a director role of hedging strategies with Anyverse, and one of our goals is to improve liquidity. And I believe that this new announcement, the new launching of these options, is going to increase institutional work tremendously. And with that, the volatility, this is going to start a tighter spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden, it's going to be much more contained and corralled.
So maybe the quicker it builds, it's a tell of how needed it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, it's going to take a while for adoption. I mean, these things take years for adoption, but in between then and there is an extraordinary amount of money to be made. There's going to be, whether or not you want to call it the scalping of option premium, or in essence, thinking of a time arbitrage. I always like looking at these as time arbitrage. I was explaining to people, and it goes back to say things that we mentioned on your show nearly a year ago on trading FCX or some of the other things like Oxy or XOM, Exxon. We might be looking at call options on these weekly where we're just scalping out that decay weekly, and it doesn't seem like much, but then you go, well, you have figured out which 1.5% a week means, right?
Yeah.
Well, so for the young investor, and one of the things that's happening in the markets right now, we have problems getting the millennial investor, and obviously, the younger generation Z investor coming into the marketplace and taking part in sort of the traditional venues that our generation did, right? It's one of the complexities of the fourth turning as it goes to the investment community. They're not coming in, but where they do have a great enthusiasm is with cryptocurrencies. There's definitely a difference of passions, right? Now, with this advance, we're going to be able to hedge our positions perfectly if we so choose, or for that matter, make far more investments in a capital efficient model, right? To take part in what one believes is the upside of this market, or conversely, obviously, if one doesn't believe, the downside of it. I believe strongly in the future of cryptocurrencies, but in between then and there, I want to scalp out that in between money. And then in between money, because of, pardon me, I don't know the gentleman's name, but it's wonderful. I like that reflexivity. That volatility is going to give us a very significant option premium, a very significant premium. And as I've said before on your show, it's just one thing we can rest assured is markets go up and markets go down, but each week option premium decays. That's where our big situation with Bitcoin is, to me, with these products. And this is very much
be the house.
Pardon me?
Be the house.
That's exactly it. Be the house. I'm not, don't you find that often, maybe we're showing our age a little bit here, Dale, but people are always wanting to state an opinion on both a political and economic area, and how it relates to the investment. And the truth is, I don't have an opinion. I just read and react, right? I constantly read and react. If it looks like it's going up and my numbers support it's going up, that's what I want to be involved with. I'm not concerned with it. Like the gentleman's commenting before, you said you had a gentleman on the show recently who mentioned that he's very concerned that November will bring us the surprise, and bears will be eating salmon, by the way, on my turkey day on Thanksgiving. Bears will be eating salmon with the a possible U.S.-Euro trade war, right?
Yeah.
And that is something I believe is very strongly in the cards, a very strong possibility, but I'm going to be hedged for it. I'm looking for that in-between money, and that's where our gold on it. Now, this is really, to me, an enormous situation for traders. I've been hoping for this to happen for over a year. I've been looking at all sorts of different systems. I've got different groups that we trade options on a daily basis closing, but this is the one that we've been waiting for, and to me it seals the link of Bitcoin and institutional investors, and how retail investors of significantly smaller capital outlays can become involved. As rarely will we see a situation of such pronounced volatility, and it's something that is potentially getting a great deal more institutional support, and we can go in there safely, confidently, carve out our scalps.
Yeah, look, all people have to do is think about, say, for example, we had a 10% move in the Dow Jones. It would be record-shattering, news headlines everywhere. In Bitcoin, it happens quite frequently and even greater. So, and if it happened in a currency, that too would be an unusual event. It's not
Absolutely.
an unusual event in Bitcoin.
Now, there are other things supporting. Obviously, last week, that's why we had the big bump of Bitcoin. China's comments as far as very pro towards, the use of digital assets, without question. But I want investors, as we lead up to the December 9th of December launch of BAC, and I'll certainly be willing to update as much as you need this of Bitcoin options. And then we have a further announcement coming, our further launch coming with CME. It'll be a bigger contract in the first quarter of 2020 to be fully aware of this opportunity. It's a very unique situation. These come around once in a blue moon, right? And we've got a rapidly emerging market, and one that the investors might be able to come in for a relatively simple type trading positions with considerable upside opportunity.
What would you say the minimum amount of risk capital would be to
that's
take
what
advantage of it?
We want to define that. In other words, and we want to define that per individual. So, for instance, and I was explaining this to a person. I said, look, we're going in this first
But
day.
isn't there still like a bottom line? And let's say, I mean, there are some individuals that aren't even suitable to do this, right? Don't you have a bottom line of
Oh,
certain
well,
amount of risk capital?
that's the problem with, that's the problem, for instance, if we're looking at any covered call situation, if we, and it's one that's rarely spoken of, it does involve capital, and they're capital intensive. You can't go out and decide to, look at options. You can't decide to say that you want to hold.
You need margin.
Yes, exactly. Now, but here's the other thing: we start looking at that hold.
And you need a cushion on your margin. You don't want to be margined up on
No, you don't
on
want to be
anything at any time, anywhere,
I don't
any
want to
place.
see. Yeah, I don't want to see anyone be in margin position, quite honestly. But what I'd like them to look at, for instance, for people who already existing hold Bitcoin, let's use, if you're holding, let's look at some of these options. Let's look at these options and use them for covered call options, and drag down the price of your investment. Now, you take the approaches that we use in equities, and now apply them here. And these are very simple approaches that we can do. Or for instance, people who want to become young investors. Let's get this young generation who likes the notion of cryptocurrencies. Let's get them excited about investing in it, but investing in ways that are fundamentally strong. In other words, that we always have. We can educate them through this and help them build an investment future in vehicles that they like, right?
Well, I think first you're going to have to work on getting them to be able to have a conversation and not just text.
Well, I can't even.
I got you there, don't I? How are you going to communicate with? Huh?
It's one of the greatest problems, having a
let alone meet in person, John. That would be just too much.
I wrote a few articles on the art of the handshake because I consulted with a firm and an investment firm, and they just couldn't close deals. And I said, your people have to do more than just sending out a blank email. Get out and meet people. I'm not gonna do a deal unless I can shake hands. And I'll go to countless AGMs, annual general meetings, and just to shake hands with boards and whatnot, and to see, okay, are you the type of people that I want to invest in? And so in many ways, if they are passionate about investing in this area, if they're new to investing in this area, what I want them to do is understand, and it's a simple approach I always tell people, tactics matter. In other words, you just don't go in there and buy. You just don't go in there and sell. You understand your exit strategy. You understand the money is made on the buy side. You sell into buying frenzies. You buy into selling storms. You be patient. You look at the long game. The long game is the only game, because if you're only looking here for a short hit, and you're thinking everything is going to be the quote the 10 bagger or something that goes up from all these ridiculous ideas, you've missed the point of investing for the future, right? That's I know that's an older approach. Again, I'm dating myself, Del, but it's one that I firmly believe in, right?
Okay. So, John, do you have a program for people to participate?
We actually don't, and we'll have our website up. But what I'm going to do is, it's coming up very shortly. We just have to do all the legalities and all those things. And what I'm going to do is see how I can help investors through a series of podcasts and teach them, time valued ways and how they can take part in this very exciting market, and probably give them what I believe the most important aspect of teach risk management policies. That is the other characteristic of this era of investing. I shouldn't say generation, but it is the era of investing. It tends to be quite greedy. It tends to always overreact. It's a very dramatic market, and it avoids risk management. And truth is, the keys to, and it tends to be short-sighted. And truth is, the keys to really great investing success is patience, long game, always manage risk, always manage risk, hedge always, and have a tactics. Understand your entrance, your buy side, and then just know where your exit strategy, have your exit strategy plan.
John, I really am hoping that you really have a great run at crypto. I mean, I can understand how an options person would be excited by this kind of volatility. I'm showing your
Oh, okay.
Twitter right here. So is
And
this
that's
the
Flying
best
Dog.
until your website is up? This is how people could follow you. I recommend everyone follow John. Here it is, Renegade Style.
Oh, thank you
John
very much.
Davies, the option tactician. uh, to him. And I understand that people go, well, Dale, what do you trade? Forex or stocks or commodities? And I say a chart is a chart is a chart. The only difference is leverage and beta.
I
And for
couldn't
you,
agree with you
John,
more, Dale. That's
yeah,
absolutely true.
so for you to be an experienced options trader and take it to a new uh, asset class, an option is an option is an option, right?
Thank you very much, Dale. And honestly, because I really do love your show, and I hope everyone subscribes. This is just a fabulous, in my opinion, this is the best pre-market show anywhere that you can find.
Okay,
Um,
well, I'm not going
it's
to debate it. I'm going to say thank you, my trading warrior brother, for
and
hanging out.
anything I can do to help your community, feel free to contact me. It's a blessing. And I mean that from the deepest part of my heart. It's a blessing, an honor, and I'm humbled to help a new era of investors.
Everybody, John Davies, my trading warrior brother, going into crypto options. So have a great holiday season, John. We'll be in
You as
touch.
well,
Okay,
Dale. We'll
buddy?
talk soon, okay?
Okay, remember, everyone, don't just count your strangles or condors or pips. Count your blessings, and I'll see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday tomorrow. We'll see what sets up here. You're welcome, DJ. You're welcome, everyone. Thanks again, John.
Thank you, Dale. Have a
Ad-
wonderful day.
Adios.